Mr. Rodriguez,
Present.
Mrs. Searles,
Here.
and Mrs. Trout.
Present.
Thank you, Board.
All right. Pedro, next agenda item.
Trustee Ethical Guidelines.
I want to take the Green Bay Packers Cup.
No, do you have a Cowboys cup?
I'll leave when I lose the bet.
That might ruin my dance.
Only when I lose the bet, sir.
You don't put it back again, right, Dr. G? You put it in someplace else? Okay, good.
We got 6.1, commitment to service. 6.1, commitment to service. Kristen, will you read that for me? Unless you had a long day, read that.
Because I actually don't have it open right now, and I'm having trouble on the phone.
Okay. Here, I'll read it. I will focus my attention on fulfilling the board's responsibilities of goal setting, policy making, and evaluation. I will focus my attention on fulfilling the board's responsibilities of goal setting, policy making, and evaluation.
Weren't we gonna have a board meeting sometime soon on goal setting?
Yes, sir.
It's a joke, guys. It's today. Everybody's quiet. Anybody? No? That's pretty clear, right? Pretty clear.
Now, I want to throw a question out. Evaluation. When a board reflects and evaluates on their processes, and we're going to be talking about student outcome, how does that play a factor when it comes to commitment to service? True evaluation. You know, when employees, we evaluate each other, I evaluate people. When we don't hit the targets, if we're about the goal set, how does a board truly evaluate themselves? The processes that you have in place.
Well, I think since the board sets the goals, it's up to administration, right? It's up to us to give you the resources through the budget, through whatever policies are in place to make sure you guys get that. Now, if we've set the goals too high, exceedingly high, that's one thing. But if we've set the goals that are attainable, and it's not, then it's everybody's fault, including the board, and ultimately it ends up with us. And while nobody evaluates us, years back, I asked that we have at least have an indication from our students that we give them a poll, or rather a survey, as to how they think, because they never get to evaluate anybody. But if we get a survey from them, how do you think your teachers in general are doing? Your principals?
Right.
How's the administration doing? How's the superintendent doing? And this is a survey question. It's not to take as an evaluation, but it's really to take as, a measure of how they feel that we're doing for them. And how is it, and how do you think the board's doing that? We've had those questions in our survey before. I think we ought to get that back out there again. And of course, ultimately, we, the board, get evaluated every 4 years. Right? Our evaluations are not yearly, but every 4 years. So, every 4 years, if we're doing a good job, it'll reflect in whether we're back or not. For us, it's a real credit. I mean, that's a really hard and fast evaluation, right?
Sure.
You're either back or you're not. So, but apart from that, I really do think that the good question that you brought up, Dr. Galvez, is that we really do need to, even beforehand, I think the board every year, and part of that I think it's through the framework what they're doing with LSG. It doesn't have to be LSG, but it's got to be some kind of framework where we're taking a look at every year that we look at how did we do in last year's goals from our measurements and what, and how are we doing with our other goals. And I think we need to reflect on that as well as, did we as a board do also as much as we could to get administration to get there? You know, are we helping or are we hindering? Or are we just in limbo? So I think that's a good thing to bring up that we maybe ought to do in terms of when we look at our goals, we ought to have a self-evaluation of what we think, you know, we're doing that. Ultimately, I guess we get graded ourselves as well on a different level. Mr. Cabeas.
Just in regards to some of the training we have had in the past, one is focusing on student outcomes, but also measuring where we're focused on in regards to, let's say, board meetings. But the other thing that usually I talk with my colleagues across the country is, show me your budget and I'll show you what your priorities are, right? So I think it does have, as policymakers, we're the ones that set those goals, and how are we really focusing on making sure we're focusing on student outcomes, but we're providing the resources needed so that way staff could actually be able to be equipped to address those issues.
Right. Point. Okay, anybody else?
Mr. Chair. One of the things I think that reflects our commitment or our lack of commitment, either way, I think is the results say like, again, going back to what you said, is the resources to the school district. And I think in a way it's reflected, I'll just make an example, our financial reporting system. You know, here recently came out to be one of the top ones in the state.
Yes.
I think that reflects our commitment to that, because in any system, if there's a department that's failing or not adequately addressing the issues that they're supposed to be addressing, it'll be reflected in the reporting systems that they implement to report to us.
Yeah.
Now, again, I go back, the financial reporting system that we have, top notch. Our educational system, number one in the region, or the state, or one of the top ones in the state or the region. People have told me, well, you know, that only reflects, okay, so you're one of the top school districts in the state, in the region. And people will always find fault in any system that reports results in anything that we take on. But I think that in and of itself reflects, and like Pablo says, show me your budget and I'll show you what kind of school district you have. And I think we're committed to do that. And that reflects in the results of a lot of the things that our kids reporting statewide in the number one, number two, coming back with awards. And I think that they're doing well.
That is some other measures, obviously, that should be taken into account. And it reflects good administration, it reflects good on the board's oversight of that.
And I go back again to the issue that I've always said, you know, we've got to trust the people that we hire. We hire a superintendent, we've got to trust him to do the best he can, and then that reflects on him and it reflects on us.
That's right. Very true. You know, talking about departments that, you know, I remember way back, I think before Dr. Calaviz was here, you know, we had issues with our special ed department. And, you know, I finally got it and said, we need an audit. And sure enough, you know, it took some doing. We went through a hard time through that. Marty, you were here.
With a high number of contracted services,
Yes,
we were not in speech compliance.
exactly. We weren't in compliance, and we just had to deal with this. And we were, but sure enough, you know, the thing is, we ordered the audit and got us back, trying to get us back on track. We had some issues with hiring people, and we still have issues with hiring a special ed teacher, right? So it's a, you know, an unending task when it comes to certain of our, staff that, you know, just difficult issues. A lot of them want to go out there and make more money out in the private field, right? So, and it's hard to get the certified ones, right? So, yeah, it's an unending task, when it comes to certain areas. I know for one time when I first got on the board, we had issues with our, bus and maintenance department. We would have, or you were here, you know, the board had literally every meeting, we had some kind of personnel issue, right?
Always.
Third level, right? That's, you were here, on the other side of the administration, but.
Yeah, Mark, yeah, our resource Mark Ganaska's ears went up and turned around.
You weren't here back then.
She wasn't.
You know,
But-
and just as a, you know, outside a classic example, we just went through what, a month and a half ago.
Right, police, right?
You know, if we didn't address the issue when it was brought up to us, this is not,
Yeah.
we're not adhering to those principles and policy making decisions that affect those requirements.
Right. Yeah, part of that responsibility.
It is.
All right. Good discussion, guys. Anybody else? Ms. Earls?
So we have a wonderful document that our internal auditor sends around about once a month, and it's our work calendar. It's really special. We're one of the few districts, probably in the whole state, maybe in the nation for all I know, that has a calendar of exactly what we're supposed to do, when we're supposed to do it, who's responsible for carrying it through, and did the costs get met. So I would encourage each of us to look at that, and it's pretty easy to read too. It's a little small, but it's really an excellent document, and that keeps us where we need to be to do these three things. And keeps our focus. If we watch that calendar, we will do our policy, we will focus, and this will happen. And the bottom evaluation is who just graduated last year. And then as we look forward, you know, the wonderful graduates. I mean, we got plenty of them right here in the room, but, you know, you see success that I think our evaluation, honestly, is students is over and above. I've seen this district grow phenomenally in every way. And it's a good thing. That's the bottom evaluation.
Yeah, you know, I remember when I first got on the board, we had, we didn't have really a set curriculum. Y'all remember?
Yes, I
Lori? You know, some of our schools would be up here, and we were all over the place, and nobody was on the same page. You remember? And so, you know, it took a while, but we got it done. We got it done.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
one more point, and again, it's recounting our ability to adhere to these principles. But I think if there's one thing that I would suggest to fully address these issues is to have more contact, more engagement with the parents of the different schools as a board. Go to the school, have a meeting, and meet with the people in the community. I think that would send a bigger signal also to the fact that, hey, we're here to listen to. We've been talking about doing that, but we haven't done it.
Yeah.
I know we've addressed that at the legislative governance. But I think that's something one other thing I'd like to have us do is, again, I know we have that yearly presentation on the results of the testing that we have in April and in August. I think we get some results. I think I'd like to have more interim reporting or presentations to us as to where we are at the different schools, at the different levels of the school district.
Sure thing. You know, that's part of our LSG that we need to meet with the community. Of course, over the last year and a half, it's been
Yeah.
impossible to do. And that's what's really delayed us getting implementing a lot of the LSG issues. And I think probably some of the LSG requirements are a little rigid. And I think, we also need to take a look at that if we want to follow through with that, or get something similar that gives us a little more, I guess, less rigidity, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I agree with that. We need to do that. That is part of our training that we've undergone, to actually share this with the community. Granted, like I said, it's been a little difficult, but hopefully we can overcome this next wave of this variant and start having some more personal, and we'd like to get people to come out, and we understand that, right now it's difficult when people won't want to come out for certain reasons, so that also makes it kind of difficult, so, we're just gonna have to, trudge along through this pandemic and hope that we can start meeting back up again, but I don't know, guys, we may find ourselves in the almost complete normal from here on out. I don't know. It seems pretty.
It's our 5-year strategic plan.
Yes. Yeah, it's just been, we're gonna be going in 2 years and this coming February, March. Yeah, that's a long time to be through this. Oh well, we'll get through this, guys. All right, anybody else? Okay, Sonia, next agenda.
Yes, sir. Item 2, Board of Trustee business. 2A, discussion and possible action regarding the notice of EPSOBI LLC Cedar and Vine to operate a business selling alcoholic beverages for on-premises consumption at a location within 1,000 feet of Reyes Elementary School.
So you do have the map. Miss Sonia Gomez gets the map. And we have, the owner, Mr. Edward Pada, the owner of Cedar and Vine,
Yes, sir.
right?
Would you like me here or?
The podium, please.
Welcome, Mr. Farr.
Thank you.
And according to our,
Appreciate you getting here this time. I appreciate that very much.
his restaurant is about 300 feet on the back part on Paso del Norte.
Can you find it out?
Yeah, it's that huge,
Outside.
it's that triangle.
Get it.
Is this going to be,
Yes,
I just wanted to know if this is gonna be a restaurant or a bar or?
my understanding it's a restaurant that's gonna serve, is it liquor or both liquor and beer now?
It is primarily a restaurant that will have a full bar, beer and wine as well.
How far away is from the campus?
Well, the physical building itself is over 300 feet. The issue is that the property we are on is not quite adjacent, but a few feet from the desert that your district also owns. And technically, it's your property line.
No.
Where the green is, where the green spot is, Dr. Galavi?
Is this point?
But Mr. Farr, I said from the campus to your property, how far is this?
It's over 300 feet. I believe it's 420 from
Is there
Professor
any
Reyes.
limits? Is there any limits that a rule or something that you might say?
Yeah, they're saying it can be within 300 feet.
Okay.
And it's okay as long as they get special permission from the school district. And that's what we're here to discuss.
If we are more than 300 feet,
Yes, ma'am.
400 and something, is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
See that triangle right there?
Oh, okay. And
There's a
so
bunch
the
of
campus-
medical complexes, doctors are there, and Mr. Fada's is right there on the Paseo del Norte, right there, and then the Reyes is right there.
It's actually, so it's the closest, the 300 feet because it's close to, I can see that it's on the non-built area that it's closest to, is that right?
Yes, sir. As you see, the school part is on the pointy side, on the complete other side of my building. My building is kind of like the delta of the triangle, furthest away on the Paseo del Norte.
The other side, Laura.
So it looks like it's probably about 400 to 500 feet from the actual building, right?
Yes, I
Away
don't know if
from
I can,
there.
so this is my restaurant right here.
See, I can't do that. I can't.
Why?
So this Spacial they built there. that's
Share,
my
Dr.
restaurant.
Galaviz, brother, share.
This here is desert, but that belongs to the school district.
That's cut out, that was our stadium.
Yes, ma'am. So what they're saying, and now here's the other issue too. It's kind of like a condo where I own my own building, but the rest of the property is like an FHA, if you will, where we all collectively are responsible for it. Their issue is that this property line, even though my building is here, this property line in reference to this property line, which belongs to the school district, are within the 300 feet. So I'm here today to get special permission if you can allow me to proceed. Again, the school is up there and my property line is here, which is further than 300 feet.
Mr. Chair?
Ms.
I have a
Searles.
Question, did you not think of this before you decided to put that there?
Great question. We actually thought we did. I personally called TABC myself and they said we're fine. But first of all, the architect wasn't aware of this property. He was only aware of the school. In addition to that, TABC is door to door.
Yeah.
The issue is with the El Paso County. It's a different rule.
City
We
and the
didn't-
county.
City, excuse me, city.
Okay,
We didn't take that part into consideration.
and what is their rule?
That, they're the ones that are asking for special permission to build. They're the ones that.
Because the back wall of the building, not particularly your restaurant.
Yes, ma'am, the property line right here. Not, my restaurant's right here, this property line here. Now,
The
technically-
parking, is that the parking area?
No, these are additional buildings. This is Edward Jones and
Oh, okay.
doctor, so on and so forth.
So, Dr. Galaviz, have the parents at the school, we just got finished talking about, having all the community involvement,
Yes, ma'am.
parents. What
Well,
have
to
the parents
the-
and the PTA said?
Well, they were for it, PTO officers, but the PTO officers last week gave them Mr. Edward Fades, saying it's gonna come in and we're okay with it.
You spoke to the PTA?
I was unable to make the meeting, but I gave him my menu. He showed him what we're looking to do and our plans to do it. It's lunch, dinner, brunch. We're not trying to be a bar, but we do want to offer those services.
But
So-
they said they
Yes,
could support
They
you?
did, they were very
And the
pleased.
principal,
Yes.
she said she could support them?
We're looking forward to be a part of the community. We're not trying to just be niche, but also have
Uh-huh.
varied foods so that everybody can be involved, and we're looking forward to being part of this area. We used to live here, actually, I loved it. But my family grew, so we have to the house, so.
About 6 inches, is that open space right there?
Yeah, where it's red?
Where it's all red,
Yeah.
that's sand. That's further up, that's where the wing will go.
My understanding, Dr. Galaviz, where we're gonna do that, or plan to do the wing for Reyes is where we were gonna do the middle school buildings. Yes. Yeah, that's in the top part.
So in the future, what are we looking at just with that?
Our recommendation right now, since it's stay K through K through 5 is probably section it off and sell it,
Okay. The bottom part?
bottom part of the stadium.
And that's something we would have to address when we were to sell it, on what type of buildings would be there, right? So then it would completely take it, the 300 feet would not be, I mean, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is the menu?
It's called Pan Mediterranean, so we're gonna feature things like hamburgers up to steaks and everything in between, but all items will have a hint of Mediterranean flavor to it, so that everybody.
Long time.
Yeah, I will, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Right, anybody else?
What did the PTO parents say?
Now they're for it.
Do the parents have to do something with this as well, Dr. Galaviz?
No, it was just to.
Just a PTO? Okay. If the community is informed.
Okay, yes, they were very excited to go visit, see, have a meeting, their first PTO meeting. One of the moms says, her boss says, you can have 2 glasses of wine at lunch.
Welcome anytime.
I said, we can't. Yeah, I told the principal, just take your badge, take it off and clock out.
Yeah, we'll give discounts to anybody in Canfield, no worries.
Oh, and a nice little athletic card you could get, your name could go on it. It's always a 10% discount.
I'd be happy to.
That would be awesome, honestly.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on agenda item 2A. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, Sonia, please call the board.
Yes, sir. Mr. Coronado,
Yes?
Mr. Hernandez,
Yes.
Mrs. Mendoza,
Yes.
Mr. Payan,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mrs. Searles,
Yes.
and Mrs. Stroud.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Wish you well in your new business.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thanks for
Hope to
that,
see you all there.
thanks for that 50% discount.
15, right, 15. Thought I heard that wrong. 50, right?
And
For the word?
thanks for contributing to the tax roll of our district.
Oh, yeah, I look forward to paying those taxes.
Yeah.
Taxpayer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Mr. Porras.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mr. Porras.
Okay, Sonia, next agenda item.
Yes, sir. Item 3, training workshop. 3A, discussion and possible action regarding the Ganadillo ISD strategic plan.
Okay, we head on down, everybody? All right, board.
Do we have documents or?
You have a folder at your table, all ready for you.
Do we have a signed CD?
She did put some signs out, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I can't tell.
It starts class at 7:30 and then work from 1 until now. Then we'll go
Do we
home.
have assigned tables?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
They sent us this thing.
Careful what?
Miss Patsy, right over there. Miss Patsy, you're right here.
I don't recognize anyone.
I'm sorry. I'm Bernardo Varela. I'm a parent. I'm retired civil servant. 9 to 10-year-old son. I'm just, trying to,
Hi, Ruby Palacios. I'm an instructional coach at one of our campuses. I have 2 daughters in our district, and I'm going to be your dad. Born and raised at Spacial. Oh, nice. Oh,
Yes, Mr.
And my name is Tristan Hernandez. And I'm on the board right now. I graduated from Ganadillo in 2010. So pretty recently, and I'm excited. I like doing what I'm doing. So
I was excited. Not that I don't like seeing mature people, but I like seeing younger minds also contribute to us older minds because we get stuck in our own system, and sometimes we think the other minds, excuse me.
my first year. So I'm excited. This year with how it's going, it can be a little nerve-wracking, but no, I'm excited. I think it's, it's last for our kids, making sure that they're getting. I'm at a
3, 2, 1. How's it going?
If you want to get, thanks to the board president, he's requested, he rarely requests, usually just give him Doritos. I'll give him Doritos. But he did request, and again, for me it's very exciting because this is part of the board work that I really, really like, the strategic planning. Knowing where we're going, and having parents and board, we did have a bunch of students here that really collectively coming together. But there is chicken Jerusalem that he requested from the Italian kitchen, the West.
Those that haven't had it, it is really delicious.
Yes. So there's chicken Jerusalem with spaghetti and a salad. We have tea. So if you want to get up, then you're all adults. But I do want to introduce Dr. Deb Brennan. We do have, we worked in Round Rock together. But when I left, I didn't know she went to the Region 13 Service Center. When we're looking for strategic planning, sometimes as districts, we get people from the outside that are used to businesses. You know, we are a business because we do have financing and we do have a budget, but we can't, when I was at the grocery store and you see an apple on manzana, you know it's bad, they can take that apple and put it away. They can take the expired jar and dispose of it. We can't do that to our kids, no matter where they come from. We can't do that to our parents, who sometimes it's babies having babies. So whether they're expired or not, when we pick that manzana and they come to our district, and your babies, Mr. Bernardo, come to PCE and says, teach me, that's what we have to do, no matter whether he's a Cowboy fan or not.
True.
But we have to love them, and we have to teach them. And so I was very pleasantly, because Deb and I worked together in Round Rock. She knows my style and her style. She's very direct to the point. Let's not waste time. Let's do what we got to do and go home. So, Dr. Deb Brennan.
Thank you so much. I love Dr. P. We share a heart for kids. So I'm just thrilled to be here. I've spent a couple of days last week with your community. We're going to share a little of the work we've done. I have a suggestion for you. Let's look at this agenda. We're going to do some introductions, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the purpose of strategic planning and the process. And then we're going to do some reviewing of the community work, and we'll be walking around. So my proposal to you is this, that we do the introductions, move around a little bit, and then get your lunch or your dinner, and you can eat while I talk. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yes, ma'am.
And then that way, like you said, we get it done. Alrighty, so thank you for allowing me to come into your home. That's what this is. I'm grateful to be here. So we want to do a little something because we have parents, we have community members here, we have some staff members, and I know a lot of you know each other, but there may be some people in the room that don't know you quite that well. So we're going to introduce ourselves to a neighbor, anyone in the room, somebody you don't know, that might be a good chance to introduce them. Share your connection to the district, what you do, and then what do you hope for this year? We're coming out of the gloomy 2 years. You alluded to that. It's been stressful for all of us. What are the hopes you have for the coming year? And then you'll introduce your friend to the group very briefly, okay? Let me give you about 2 or 3 minutes to find somebody, introduce yourself, your hope, and then we'll introduce each other, okay? Go ahead, switch. Tell the other person
Okay, I'm gonna talk about this before. I'm gonna focus your business and mine, the faculty that I'm learning is and to know that I know it's very hard. We can see, we can evaluate our cases, you know, so I wanted to know that. Household campuses are doing.
One, let's bring it back together, please. And let's get to know each other a little bit. May I start at this table, please? Of course. Okay, stand up. That probably people could see you in here.
So I introduce my neighbor.
Yes, please.
Hello everyone, so this is Ms. Trout, she's our wonderful board member, and her hope for this year is really working on the mental health of everyone in our district. After these past 2 years, it's been tough on us, but you know, the hope is that by working together, we can all take care of ourselves and take care of each other.
So I'm going to introduce Miss Sabina. She's from Reyes teacher. Everyone knows her. I was talking to her. What I really like is what she said, that tried to bring the kids out of the struggling situation of teaching and learning remotely. She wants to have that experience again and bring the happiness of the kids here to teach them face to face. And she's going to do her best.
Thank you.
I would like to introduce you to Ms. Julie Scott. Ms. Scott is a parent in our district. She has children at middle school and in elementary school. And she was very involved with the Just for Kids committee, which we all know did a lot of hard work in helping us to prepare for the bond. And I was asking her what she thought our chances, or what she hears in the community. A lot of us, like Ms. Earls and I, don't have children, so we don't see parents in the community like, like Ms. Scott. So I was asking her what her feelings were, and we are placing our hopes and our dreams in this bond and hoping that we can improve the buildings that really need improvement, like the middle schools.
And this is my new friend, Ms. Patsy Mendoza. We share our love for the students and for the middle schools, especially just because it hits home with where we're at. And we're both really hopeful and dreamers. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Mr. Bernardo. He was also part of the Just for Kids. He is a retired civil servant. He is a parent. His kids go to DC. And of course, his hope is for a better education for all his kids. And he knows they're giving a good one, and he just likes to be involved, so he can definitely be there every time.
This is Ruby Palacios, Miss Ruby Palacios. She's an instructional coach at AUC, and she's also a parent. We're here trying to help make things like this.
Oh, this is I want that. This is my friend, Ms. Edgar Moreno, and she is responsible for a lot of things like also T-test and budgeting, and I don't remember the title exactly. But her goal, or one of her goals for this year, is to also retain teachers and make sure that they're well and that they want to continue being here and make sure that they have the best teachers. This is my new friend, Marina Lopez. She's awesome. She is an intern for Dr. Galavis. She's for superintendent. And it is so awesome. She is also a community member for San Diego. And she's also going to be taking the exam for superintendent in January, right? Wow. And short after, she will have her doctorate. So, wow.
So, this is my new friend. Dr. Galavis, as everyone knows, is the superintendent of the district. one hope that he has for this year is for health and happiness, for not only himself, but for the students as well, everyone, staff, administration. Yeah, hope he does good things.
We're really valuable. This is my good friend Tristan Hernandez, 2018 grad. What I like about him, what it seems to me, is that he's closer to the kids. So the high school is, like when the high school is talking, he goes, you didn't do that, or yes, you did that. So it's really that quick feedback. And then when you board, then you'll have that interaction and evaluation process a lot faster. Because again, kids can't know, so therefore now we mention every 4 years, but we have kids learning every day. And they can't wait for 4 years. They need it today. And his hope is to pass all his classes at UTEP and to meet the girl in this dream. That's his mom's hope.
All right, Jessica. Oh, no, okay.
Okay, so this is my new friend, Sonia Cisneros. She's a parent liaison at BCE, and she did a stint also in special ed. She has a big hope for this year. She wants us to stay safe for this year, support our students and families, to overcome the loss and everything that families have gone through.
And this is my new friend, Ms. Marta Pajkarski, Chief Financial Officer for the district. And her hope is that our students know that this is not normal, that what we've been through is not normal. Hopefully we won't see it in 100 years. And
this is my new friend, Sergio Coronado. And I must admit, we got a little off track.
That's all right.
We didn't do all of our homework. But Sergio had a teal blonde.
The middle name's Bob.
Yes, the middle name is Bob. So, and I didn't get to it.
All right, Jessica.
So, but I'm sure, it's all of these wonderful things and all the work that we're doing, it should be back to normal, like everyone said.
Well, my new friend is Ms. Harrison, and she's actually told us that she's really, completely ingrained in our district because she's got kids in here. One of them's in high school.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is in elementary at JDE. Jose Damian or Deb. You want me to call you Deb or Dr. Brent?
You can call me whatever you want.
All right.
Deb's fine, sir.
My name's Bob. Anyways, I think we were all talking about, the issues about getting together that we really need to be a little more involved in the community and how we can do that. But I think that as far as speaking for me in terms of what I would like to see specifically is, I really want us to focus on our career technology in our district. It's a long time coming. We've really not struggled with that. We've struggled with that for many years before, and our program was kind of just laning along, and we really need to give it a shot in the arm, so to speak. And I really want it to be something that's vibrant, rigorous for the community. That's my hope for our community.
Yeah, oh no, just Marty. Hi, this is Marty. I'm Marty, but I want to introduce my new friend. Actually, it's Mr. Kennedy himself, right? And Armando's a board member. He's been a board member probably since about the age of Kristen. I think he was 17 or 17 years old. And so he is a true love of the district. And what he would like to see this year is something about having some organizational capacity. The idea that regardless of who's sitting on the board, who's sitting in the superintendent's chair, that the organization always continues to meet those levels of excellence. And that's what you really would like to see, that capacity. So.
My new friend, right? Go way back. I think one of the things talking about the learning gap and some of the issues that our district and across the state and across the country is facing is how do we regroup and address those needs, and then how do we elevate and continue to elevate the district, and that's the goal. And we've got a lot of work to do, especially staff, and we appreciate that.
This is my friend, Marta Carrasco. She's a chief human resource officer, and her hope is to continue to hire and retain teachers and staff so that we can continue to excel in regards to student academic achievement. And actually, she was my first friend. She's the first voice I heard when I got hired.
And my friend for 7 years, she's been with the district for 7 years, Ms. Nani Silva. She is the director of the Academic Language Services, and her hope this year is that English learners continue to achieve and perform at higher levels.
Good evening. This is my brand new friend, and we never know what each other's going to look like when we take this off. It's Alejandra, and Alejandra is a parent, PTO officer, or member officer for Maria's Elementary, and her hope for the year is that her children and her family grow up to be strong and healthy, but that we as a school district do something about the traffic. We need some flashing lights. We got some traffic issues at Reyes. And so I think as a board member, I can commit to Dr. Galavis. Hopefully we can hear her plea, and that next year when we're here, we'll go box checks. Not a traffic issue. We got those flashers. Things are looking good at Reyes. So that was her hope and dream, and I hope we'll stay friends a long time.
And this is my new friend Lori, and I was fortunate enough that she was so interested in what I have to say as a parent that I didn't get to learn much of her. But I hope I have time for this.
We will. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie?
Hello, everyone. This is my new friend, Mr. Salvador Payan. And we also didn't do our homework because we started talking about it. But one thing that I did learn is that he works near the area that I work at, Bill Childress. He's from Vinton. He did share that one of the things that he would really like to see is that our special needs kids, we do see special needs kids in Northwest Early College, so that's his hope that we will have some of those kids here.
This is my new friend, Mrs. Gonta. She intimated that she's been in the district 20 years. Her husband has connections to Canutillo. She teaches or works at Bill Childress Elementary School and showed a lot of passion for working there. She loves a small community, a sense of the school district, and the fact that she loves the work that she does there. Thank you.
Hello, this is Mr. Cereces. He works for the district. He's an auditor. And one thing that he hopes to see is to go back to normality. We did get a little bit sidetracked because we started talking about his grandson, which attended our school when he was little, and now he's at CMS, right?
This is my new friend, Veronica Cosio. She's an instructional coach at Canutillo Elementary. Her hope is also hoping that this she didn't say damn, that this damn COVID-19 goes away and we get back to normal, continue providing excellent education services for our students.
Well, thank you all for playing. I think it's so neat that you all get together and you don't get your homework done because you're just enjoying each other's company, and that's fabulous because that's what a community is. Dr. Galavis, let them go get their dinners. Will that be all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Would you all like to eat? Are you hungry? Yeah. Okay, well, why don't you grab your dinner, come on back to your table, and then I'll get started with my spiel.
All right.
Even then, it's Austin, it's like 7:30 at night. It's way past dinner.
They're different. When she did it, I don't know if she texted her, if she knows it or not, and I don't care, I'm gonna. She was almost sleeping, and she was like, they get knocked out. So I told her, call me or text me if you're okay. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Who's gonna take care of you? Your new friend.
How exciting.
All right, we're gonna get our dinners. We're gonna get something to drink. Don't forget your silverware. Some people are having to make a run back for that. Oh, you're so welcome. I didn't even know that. And we're gonna maximize your time this evening so you can get home to your families that you love.
Thank you.
Couple more minutes, we'll let everybody get seated and we'll get started. Bernardo's not extra, he is a man. I'll tell you, he can just take care of things. Extra napkins if anybody needs one.
Yes.
Bernardo takes care of us all. Five, 4, 3, 2. Took off my mask so I don't have to yell at you. I think there's a neat quote on the board that kind of sets the tone for what's going on in Candy Teal. You know, excellence is not that destination. It's this continuous journey that never ends. We go from good to better to the best. And you all are certainly on that trajectory of being, if not one of the premier district in the state. So we've done our introductions, and let me just share a little bit about strategic planning. What is this and the difference? One of the things I told the group that I worked with the other day is that I work for an education service center. ESCs, they're called. I'm in Region 13 in Austin. I've been there for about 7 years. Our first job is education. We work with schools and school districts. That's our niche. But we also are a service center. Our job is to serve our districts, our schools, and our students in the state. So I think that's why I bring somebody from Austin, because we are focused on education. We're focused on students. We're focused on serving our districts and our schools so they can serve the students better. So that's what we do and why we're different than some of the other companies that might offer strategic planning. I am a nationally certified strategic planner. I have my little certificate somewhere that shows I went through this national training, but I do this because it is a joy and a love in my heart. It's how I continue to serve. Your commitment to service, this is my commitment to service, is that I come here to serve you all so you could serve your children. So our purpose. One of the things that we do that's different is we really believe in engaging all stakeholders in this work. Last week we had parents and students, family members, community members, staff members, and they were truly engaged in the work. As you have a chance to talk later tonight when we do another activity, you'll hear how they were actually doing the work. I was facilitating the work. They were the ones working. And we're working with one purpose. We want to shape the future of this district for the benefit of your students. It is all about kiddos. It is all about discovering new possibilities. I heard your board president talk about CTE. New possibilities for our students. And it's a 5-year plan to move you from where you are to where you want to go. So that's the purpose. There's long-range planning and there's other kinds of planning, but we call it strategic because we're bringing all your stakeholders in. It's very transparent. And you'll see tonight we're going to do an activity and you'll see the kind of collaboration and connection we're building amongst your stakeholders in your community. We had such a good time last week that the people who worked in a group for 2 days together were taking pictures of each other because they were bonded for life, I think. But they felt the connection and the collaboration where voices were heard. Lots of different perspectives in the room, lots of connection and sharing of ideas openly and transparently. We want to look, and one of the things we'll do tomorrow is strategic abandonment. I truly believe that we can't just keep doing things because we do them. We really need to collect data on things and see what do we let go of. So we have the capacity to do different things, better things for our students. So we will do an exercise tomorrow where we look at what are we using our resources, how are we using our resources, not just money and buildings, but people and energy and time. And what are we going to choose to let go of because it's redundant, it's overlapping, we've outlived its usefulness, etc. You'll hear tonight from some of the people that have been engaged, and you can see you have some family and community members here as well as staff. We feel responsible for the work we're doing. Because they're involved and because they have a voice and a perspective, we are building collective responsibility for the plan of this district. And that's critical. And collective responsibility to give discretionary effort beyond what's required to do that little extra piece that we need to move the needle. And then we hope that everybody is excited about the future. Know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not a train, it's the end of COVID. And we're excited and we're energy about where we can go. And because we have all the people in here, perhaps we will be able to expand the capacity of this district to do great things. We talk about the lifespan of an organization. And I truly believe this. Every organism, every organization, every business, and this is a business model, it comes out of business, is born, it grows, and it matures. Sounds good? And then we reach this plateau of homeostasis. Everything's kind of rocking and rolling, we're in a good place, everything's good, and we think sometimes we could just coast. But what happens is the environment around us changes, and what we actually see in organizations that don't adapt and change is they actually go into a decline. So what we want to do is while we're on this upswing, while we're going forward, we want to reinvent ourselves and take it to the next level. And so that's part of the purpose of this strategic plan, is to say, yeah, we're good. We're good at Canyon Deal. We're doing a great job for our kids. Okay, it's time. Where can we go next? Let's set a plan to go to the next level. Oh, that went quickly. We're on the next agenda item. The process. I like this quote. Dr. Pete knows, as a teacher, my kiddos, and I told the group the other day, my kiddos would come in the room and say, Miss, can't you just teach us all our classes all day? We want to stay in your room, which was a wonderful compliment. And I thought, I could make a bigger splash. I think I'll go into administration. Well, you still can't change the world by yourself. Individually, you're still this drop. We need a collaboration. We need a community of people working together. Because when we do that, that's when we make the impact. That's when we become this ocean. And we can change mountains. We can shape the landscape together. So the process we use, and we'll use it a little bit tonight, is one where we start with silent generation of ideas. Oh, by the way, I'm so sorry. You have a note-taking guide. This is your folder, board members. And inside you have what's called a note-taking guide. And that is yours to write, do whatever you want to. Okay. And you also have some handouts to which we'll be referring later tonight. I'm so sorry I didn't say that sooner. I was carried away with getting you dinner. You also had a sign-in sheet on your, did everybody get a chance to sign in? Anybody need it? So this is your little bit of heaven, and use it as you will. So the reason I started thinking that is the silent generation of ideas. Your note-taking guide is a place where you can write things down as you're doing that silent. We know we need to honor people's think time, and that's what the silent generation of ideas is. It's a time for you to ponder, capture those thoughts. Then we go around the table and we, oh, that's interesting.
I think don't hit cancel. Yeah, hit cancel.
Cancel.
Oh, I hit OK. I don't know what that did.
It might restart your system.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Go sit down.
That's great. Oh, no. No. All right. So the next, after you have your think time, we go around and we individually share our ideas. That's not a time for saying, in the middle of Debbie talking over here, saying, oh yeah, I agree with that. No, we want everybody's voice. Everybody gets their say. of mine are ideas. But you can take notes the whole time you're listening. That allows everybody's voice to be heard, and then we start combining. Tonight, we'll put some ideas up on poster boards, and we're actually going to do a gallery walk, and then incorporate some feedback tonight. And we'll have some time to share out with a large group. But this is the process that we're using in all our meetings. We used it last week. We'll be doing more tomorrow, and the next day as well. So we get up and move around a little bit, and it's kind of fun. So we started last week here at what we call our steering committee. Actually, we started further back. It started with a leadership team meeting, and I'll be telling you a little bit about what happened there, and we'll be giving some feedback on that. But last week was our first steering committee, and that's when we brought a wide range of stakeholders in, and we talked about goals, we talked about the vision mission. We're going to go over some of that work tonight with you so you know where we are. Tomorrow, we're going to have a bunch of people come in, and they are going to figure out how to get us from our current state in the district to the next level. They're going to create a detailed 5-year action plan to get us there. I'm doing one in another district. The plan is about 120 pages long. But it's detailed for every semester. Every step is in there. And they'll meet again. They'll come back to the steering committee and meet. And then there will be a presentation to the board of all this work. You will have a hard copy of the plan. They will present it to you, but there's also an electronic copy of the plan, and you all were talking about your LSG, etc. And there's a way to incorporate your LSG goals and track your progress in that same electronic format, and I offered to Dr. Gelabise that I would do that for you if you wanted that for the board. So all your data can be tracked. You can look at what's happening on the strategic plan, you can look at progress measures, and you can look at your LSG if you so choose. One of the things that we work really hard to do, and we'll do a little bit tonight, is we want to engage, of course, your intellect, your thinking, your analysis of data, etc., the current state. But you also want to touch your heart, because we're all in this for a reason, and that reason isn't often intellectual. The reason we do what we do every day is really about our heart. And I heard you all hopeful about students and hopeful about the future. And yes, that's a little bit intellectual, but a lot of that is the way we feel. And so the why of why we do this is really, really critical. We'll talk a little bit more about that tonight as well. All right, logic model. Are you tired of hearing it yet, Bernardo? We've been talking logic model. So this is the framework upon which our strategic plan is built. And I'm going to give you kind of a quick and dirty about it, but we'll come back to this several times when we present it to you in the end. And Albert Einstein said, much smarter guy than I am, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. So we know we can't do the same things, even louder and slower, and get anything different than what we have. And remember, we're here to discover new possibilities for our students. So we're going to have to do some different things. So, what he's really saying is what you do determines what you get. if we want to get something different, then we do something different. And so our strategic plan is spend a lot about defining what do we want to get and building it backwards so we do things differently. We don't want to just build a plan, oh yeah, we're doing lots of things, we're really busy, but they're not getting us where we want to go. And we want to be strategic. We want to do the things that are going to get us the results we want. Now this gets very complicated, don't get scared. Oh my goodness. Alright, so let me explain. You have a vision in your district, and your outcome for the board is really about student outcomes. If we want that, we have to have a new environment in our district. And we have divided into strands and have goals that are very aspirational to create a new environment here in Canutillo in some key areas of operation. If we want to reach our goals, then adult behaviors have to change. We are not talking about students have to do that. We don't blame students. We're not talking about our parents have to do something different. We're saying we, the adults in this environment, must behave differently to get different results. However, if we want people to behave differently, we have to give them the knowledge, skills, and mindset to do that. If we want to reach our vision, we have to create new goals describing our environment. If we want to have a new environment, people must behave differently. They have to move out of their comfort zone. We cannot hang to the status quo. And if we want them to do that, we, in fairness, must give them the knowledge and skill to do that. And that is what our strategic plan is building. It's building the knowledge and skills and the behavior changes, and we're monitoring them to make sure that we get here. People do the best they can with the tools in their belt. If we want them to behave differently, we have to give them new skills, and we have to know that they have those skills so that we can hold them accountable. And there is accountability built into the strategic plan. Any questions on the logic model? It's a research-based framework. It's recognized by TEA, and it's recognized, it is also recognized by the Elementary Secondary School Act as research-based. Kellogg Foundation uses it, other nonprofits use it. So when you're talking about an improvement plan and you say, it's built on the logic model framework, even if you don't know what that is, they know it's research-based model for improvement. So we are building backwards. We're not starting with doing a bunch of things and trying to fit it into what we're trying to get. We're spending a lot of time out here on defining what we want for the students in Canutillo. And then we're going to build actions to get us to those results. Backwards design. Every classroom teacher will tell you we start with our outcomes in the classroom and then we design our activities. We're practicing what we preach. Another little thing that you have in your folder that we will be using to guide our work is what's called the Effective Schools Framework. And board members, you have a nice slick little handout in your folder from this. This is the latest and greatest from the Texas Education Agency. It is a description of what the best schools do. It's based on the research of Paul Bambrick Santoyo. It has a little bit of Doug Lemoff's Teaching Like a Champion involved in it. But they say there are 5 areas, big, they call them levers, where schools need to focus their efforts in order to improve. If you were a school, if you had a school that was struggling, the state would come in and evaluate your school on these levers. Aren't you glad you don't? It's free choice for you. But it is a guidance of what the state says are the best practices. It is also the language of education and instruction in the state of Texas right now. So if a district were to come to you and say, what are you doing, Kenyatio? Can we visit? We want to talk about strategic staffing, effective, well-supported teachers. They would be talking this language, and this is the language you would speak back to them. It's the language of Texas education right now. So we're going to be aware of that as we build our strategic plan. We're going to look at what the state says is best efforts, and we're going to make sure we're pulling some of those instructional, those things in to the plan. And so that's yours to keep. We'll be referring to it when we do our work tomorrow. There are what are called district commitments at the top of each lever. It's what districts are supposed to do to support schools. They are coming out. Dr. Galavisa and I were talking. It was supposed to be out this summer. It's not out yet. He's kind of on the forefront with TEA, hearing about it. But there's supposed to be an effective district framework that has some of these district commitments involved in how is a district supposed to support their schools to be highly effective. So when we get that, we'll be shooting out copies of that as well. Any questions about the Effective Schools Framework? You really don't have to worry about it, but I don't want you to not be aware of it.
Marty, yes, can you form a board what we're doing with the Effective Schools Framework and action coaching? I was just telling Jessica Harrison I could talk about this all day. Really the first thing is a strong leadership of planning, and that's the PD that we offer principals. We're looking at leading measures, not lagging measures, leading. And if we want to have effective schools, we have to have effective principals. And so all that planning that goes around with, and it's called, it used to be called action coaching, now it's observation and feedback. The strategic staffing, the effective, well-supported teachers, that comes with your teacher incentive allotment, the professional development we do with RIT, the SIOP strategies that we train teachers on, the differentiation that happens with teachers when they have special ed students in the class. Of course, a positive school culture. Sometimes you can have high results and very low culture. What does that mean? You've got a dictator on your hand, right? Low culture, high results, they're just telling you what to do. We want high culture and high results. That's an important thing. The instructional materials and assessment is a curriculum. When Sergio, Mr. Coronado was talking about, we didn't have a curriculum. Remember the old C-scope days, if you were here at that time? That was in 2010 because we didn't have a curriculum. We had to bring out C-scope. And we have that because it's tried and true. And we've added those assessments as well as part of the PLC and that effective instruction. Notice it's the bullet, right? You got to have that. I hope it is the bullet. Yes,
yes, it is. Right in the center. You're right, Barney.
You can't, if you have an effective teacher in that classroom, your kid could be a year behind, 2 years behind. That teacher's got to be effective, and everything around it goes to support that. I just love the Effective Schools Framework because I think that's why Kennedy is so successful is because we all work together to build that effective instruction. But that's what we're doing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes, action coaching is great. There's also lesson alignment, formative assessment, and yes, sir.
Marty, can you elaborate on culture?
Sure. You know when you walk into a building and it's so hard to nail down, but you walk into a school and it seems very inviting and open, and you go to another school that feels oppressive. How do you measure that? How do you measure that? One of the things we do is an organizational health index. where we survey the faculty to find out how close does the principal have a pulse on that school. We use that. We also use the Gallup poll to find out what kids are thinking about their school. One of the questions we ask kids, I have a friend at the campus, there's an adult who cares about me, right? That tells you if kids feel, I know where to go to if I need help. Those are questions we ask kids, and those are the things that help us. And it's tough decisions because sometimes we've had high-performing school and low culture, and we have to talk to that principal. You know, is it your way or the highway, or is everybody involved in bringing that school up, right? Or when we have, you know, high results or low results, low results but high culture. That could be that principal's everybody's friend and is not putting expectations on people, right? Oh, I'm gonna let it go that this person is, you know, not teaching bell to bell, right? We can't allow that either. So those are the ways we measure, Mr. Pyle.
Great, and family engagement is part of that positive school culture lever there as well. So very important piece. Thank you for your questions. Our committee work. I want to start with what the leadership group did. Your board has goals in reading and writing and math. And so, very appropriately with Lone Star Governance, you are looking at student outcomes, because that's really, you know, what we're really all about, student outcomes. So, what we did as a leadership team is we looked at the data. We looked down here in the current state of your district, and we dug deep into the data. And we did a data dig. We said, you know, what are some of the highlights? What are some of the lagging things that we want to see improved, our challenges in our data? And the next thing we did...
Wait, can you put that back?
You start with this one?
Yeah. Tristan, what character is that? Wait, it's Teacher of the Year.
Isn't it Inspector Gadget?
Oh!
Tristan's not gonna like my music either because it's all old. So it wasn't enough to look at just data. Our job is to look underneath that data at root causes. What are some of the things that are contributing to that data that we're seeing? Where are our gaps? And so we did a root cause analysis, and Dr. Pete was over there, and Ms. Rocha, really pushing people to look at why. If you say families aren't engaged or kids aren't coming to school, why aren't they coming to school? Why is this happening? And we dug and dug and dug till we ran out of whys. And so we ended up looking at 5 areas where we wanted to focus our efforts. This plan is what your district and campus employees need to do to reach your goals, to impact student achievement. And so it's a work plan for the district to fill some of those gaps and holes so that the outcomes change. Remember, we're being smart. We're starting with that end, that student outcomes, and we're building backwards. And we came up with these 5 strands. And I shared this quote with your leadership team and share it with you, that the important part of leadership is you got to hold on to 2 things in your brain. You got to deal with the reality, and then you really have to focus on hope. We can't stay talking about COVID. We can't stay in this spin. We've got to have a hope to where we're going next. But we've got to deal with the reality as well. So we have some Strand considerations. And you're actually sitting in strands right now. So my board members need the considerations. Who else needs one? Sir, do you need one? Thank you.
Oh, you have one? You sure? You don't need it? No, from earlier in the year. I have another one.
Oh,
I didn't
thank
think it
you,
was separate.
Ms. Moreno, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need más?
No, we're good here.
Okay, good. We got it.
Yeah.
Más?
You haven't. Can you go back one? Right there. The next one. Oh, the other one.
You're fooling with me, aren't you?
An important part of leadership is being able to keep their mind.
You know,
Yes, sir.
dealing with reality, whatever it may be, COVID, and focus on hope for the future. It's a dilemma that are, me as a grandparent of a 10-year-old, you know, putting her out there, and I have aspirations of her growing to be a successful individual, but at the same time knowing, and I read an article somewhere, where you're really putting your kid out there in a pit full of snakes with COVID. So the challenge there, and I'm just throwing that out because you're saying you're gonna deal with reality, whatever it may be, but the focus on hope for the future, you know, parents are, what do you do? So who's going to pull us out of that? You know, how are we going to pull ourselves out of that? And I'm just throwing that out because you know.
I agree, Mr. Kayane, it's the reality we deal with, but we can get stuck there as well.
Yeah.
And not keep our eyes on where we want to go. Because this too shall pass.
Hopefully.
This too shall pass. This too shall pass. But yes, so we want to look forward a little bit, hopefully, with hope in our hearts. And so you have some Strand considerations, and this is a result of your leadership team saying, these are some things we want to think about as we build our strategic plan. And so we have district operations, and you'll see over here on the wall there's a poster for district operations. And you can read those. We have family engagement. And we looked at demographics and things and said, you know, there's some struggles in the homes. We've got domestic issues. These are some things we want to consider as we build our strategic plan. And there's a poster over here for family engagement.
Do we have Pat here, that information here?
Yes, that's exactly what is on the slide. I don't usually put this much print on a slide unless I've given you a handout, but I wanted to show you to what I am referring. But the paper is two-sided, so you'll see high quality instruction, the considerations. I'm going to give you some time to read them in just a minute and talk at your tables. You have highly effective, well-supported staff. It's administrators, your whole staff, not just teachers. We have student and staff well-being and culture. So what we're going to do now is on your own, we're going to take about 5 minutes to read and review. And then we want you to be able to talk at your table and share any additional thinking. And then we're going to do a gallery walk. And this time you can take a marker. You get to write on the posters and markers. Woo-hoo. We don't allow that in the other strategic plan groups. But anything that you want to add to these considerations, you have the opportunity to do that. So let me give you 5 minutes to read the considerations, and then I'll give you 5 minutes to talk and discuss at your table, and then I'll give you the directions for the gallery walk. So 5 minutes of reading, writing note. You can write on those, whatever you want to do.
That's what I was talking about. On the original committee, I was
So we finish this share our individual ideas, and then we collaborate. Okay, and then we put it up on the papers. We're focusing right now on learning, so we can read the whole thing. If you think of something specific,
doing everything.
Yeah, no, that's good. So that way, if you have an idea that's different than something else, you can add it.
Oh.
I think that's one of my main reasons to volunteer in school, because I like building the special it's nice to interact with them because they're just, I enjoyed their whole social attitude. There was nothing in so that's one of the things. Oh, yes, that's fuzzy board. This looks beautiful.
And then also, on the other hand, you have the parents of our elementary, their child, they're not sure.
I think it's also in regards to like the older siblings being in charge, them not going on to the meetings like they were supposed to, or being from what I remember from the last time also. But that's exactly it too.
Because just like on where last year, parents, they showed how to be the time manage their personal work and then their duties at home, but then also looking at my little one on Zoom. And so just they didn't have enough time to do what they wanted to do, and even if they wanted to be motivated to do so, the time and the things that they have to accomplish, it was not 5 hours. And my first grader had 2 hours a day with teachers, and I was at the table for 8 hours every day.
kids.
She tried to. I mean, she would answer dojo and stuff, and she did the best she could. She just really did. It was really difficult because my son is a pure learner and not just his attention span's like a gnat. So,
Getting to know the parents and like what you're saying, I mean, it's hard for a stranger to come into your home and say,
I think my understanding, if I remember correctly, I want to say that was like the soccer thing. But to me, I'm not sure. I'm coming tomorrow. Hey, Deb, I'm not into it. We had a question about this bed messaging around passing classes. Do you remember what that was about?
Yes, I think there was a message about the graduation plans and the fact that perhaps people are not being clear and pushing the kiddos to higher graduation.
So with the family engagement, it was from the counselors to the children to the parents.
Not necessarily, or making sure everybody knew
what the plan was.
Right. That I believe so.
Parents, teachers, or
all
the teachers, parents, teachers, and whatever faculty is involved, the teacher, the counselor.
Leadership, that's superintendent.
That's all we have.
He's right, because there's a group in the early college, if I'm explaining it, I'm interrupting, but it's like a mandatory that they show up. And it was great that Aisha was telling me about it, because it says mandatory for certain people to go there and talk about the problems. And if they're too, and it's all about, if they're too shy to talk about the problems, there's a portal where this, I guess it's a, district, which is outside, casework, and also go and talk to her. Now, when I was thinking about it, I said, why is it not in the whole school? You know, that's a real program. Because it says those kids that should be here, there's a lot of talk about that. Unspoken words like that, when they say there's so that builds trust among the kids. That's great. It's really awesome. We'd love to see
High quality education. I don't see anything in that.
there's probably kids
that go out with something like media. Welding, nursing, dental, Is it still there?
Two more minutes?
Because of the cold.
But in regards to family considerations that I thought was maybe while a single platform between teachers to parents or
administration take place to where we have, and my sister last year had Seesaw, Dojo, the Google Classroom, Remind, and like 2 more. And I'm like, so that was one of the considerations for adding some of them. And that's what we were talking about too, is maybe like the communication version and network kind of idea. So where if it's district wide across every elementary school, every middle school, every high school, that we have having the same platform. Another idea we had was to have provide for also offering Zoom or whether it's teacher to parent or the PTO or the principal or even maybe some of the district staff.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can I bring us back together, please? So, want to give you next instruction. We're going to do a gallery walk. Usually we use sticky notes. Tonight, you're going to take a marker. You have a table box in front of you. You can write your own. You can designate someone to write. You're sitting at a table.
Yes, I can. Please, you go misspell what's when she says
All right, some of you know how to do this, so I'm counting on you. Bernardo, keep everybody straight.
I'm sorry.
What? We're old friends now. All right, so you have a table tent on your table that gives you a Strand name. Your family engagement. Your poster is here. That's where you'll start. That's your home base. District operations. You'll start here. High quality instruction. Y'all will start here. Highly effective, well supported staff. You're going to start here. And then the last one over here is student and staff well-being and culture. You'll start there. With the music, you can start by putting your thoughts on your own poster. Okay? When you hear the music, you're going to rotate one poster in a clockwise direction. So, student and staff will go up here to family engagement. Some of the people who have been doing this know how to do it, so they'll lead the way. You don't move till you hear the music. And then some of you who have been doing this, let me know when you're ready to move on. And I'll play the music again. And then what I'm going to do with the input I get from you is I will add that to these considerations so that when we're writing our plan, we consider these things as well. Any questions on what we're doing? Something with which to write. A marker, preferably, but if you want a pen, it's okay. All right, let's go to our posters, and we'll rotate. Start by writing the notes from your own strand, and then you'll be able to add as you move around. So you'll have input on every strand. Let me know when you're done writing your own strand stuff down, guys, please.
Yes.
Marty, you can put that down if you want, sweetie. Okay. Running that marker helps other people read it.
About this, last week there was No, you keep going. So do you receive as a parent, do you receive automated phone calls from your school?
Yes.
So that's part of
part of it.
Yeah, that's
But I'm-
the message.
That's the message.
Okay, so that's the message, yes, and so it's
And that's great from the principal, that's great from knowing the district.
yes, and so that's
But
what
having-
goes, but when it comes to individual classrooms, that's where, yes, as a school, it's helpful that everybody should go.
And you have, I have a friend who's at the Northwest,
Like, from children, right? Well, they use technology, like,
okay, so many parents that have sometimes, we have more participation in PCI. I did last year. You had some things, you can call limited, but the principal this year at my school, one of the problems, you have seen this, but one of the other parents mentioned it, the principal this year has so that was just from my side. Do you guys have family considerations that
it's part of it. So I know now with our investors,
Because nobody knows the need, because the needs of the
survey for parents. It's very important.
Two, waiting on three. Three, waiting on two. Two, waiting on one. One or two is. Waiting on one. Waiting on one.
So maybe print it as well, in a print paper, so we will, I don't have it, like, when you print paper, in a print paper, so. So we don't miss no.
That's your job.
All right, you have your sheet. You have what other people have granted. If you want to add something more, go ahead.
Can I think something about the equity of the programs? I know like, what I noticed is like some elementary schools offer different after school programs that the other schools are not offering. So I think we need to provide more equity within our
See if it's Charles.
Well, it was
Would it be standardizing the
Maybe standardizing, I think it goes back to both, sure. Because some of our campuses need different programs that others don't.
That's more of their core funding.
Well, I think that's the real world. I'm at Kansas. I was at the I'm all over the place. Well, my daughter,
It's wonderful that they did it. Not only because our
How we doing?
Like they said, survey, you can always survey the parents for what your suggestion. So it's not standardized. The parent liaisons, they're always in touch with what the campus needs to do. And also, I never get this because when I was at school, I talked to different teachers, but I never felt that they were all on the same page. They didn't know what was going on in their school. And I'd be surprised if they didn't all know the same thing. Let's say, I know, gossip is kind of like a big thing, but in the school.
How we doing, guys?
Should be not toward the teachers, but say students. You know what's going on.
How we doing? 1, 2. Two waiting at 3. 3 waiting at 2.
Yeah.
4 waiting at 1.
The next one was rotate.
You need more paper, let me know.
Okay, family engagement. I put PTO support and recruitment. Yeah. By law, we're supposed to, but I don't know if we do. I don't think so either. And that's
To make it better, to get to the students.
you know, recruitment, we gotta get it started. You know, let's see. It says we have. Sometimes we do, but most of it goes all the way through. And some like redecorated bathrooms and stuff, they're amazing. They'll be there 3 years. You're gonna have somebody picking up the slack.
How we doing, everybody?
Right now.
How we doing?
So that the expectations are the same. They have tested. You know, the bridge around middle school, high school is a hard. Yes, thank you. That's very hard.
Waiting on two.
So once you're done with your report, make sure that somebody has to show your group is done and then she.
4, waiting on 1. 4, waiting on 1.
Yes, I am. Last time we went to San Antonio, we went through Denver first.
Well, of course, I agree, and they use what works, they don't do
How you doing?
Talking about family engagement.
One more. Close to you.
Because the test and right now we have and so they went down. I understand this is looking at, you know, how do we have more active involvement of those kids who are into sixth grade and yeah. We fed them.
Students and teachers, to me, that's success. Some people have said maybe not because
How we doing, guys? The 1, 2. Waiting at 2.
You must already know about parents or teachers.
4, waiting at nobody. Okay, this is our last poster. You're bound back home. The last one.
Level
some of these comments
This needs to be like different outlets because some still get emails, some still get mail, some text messages, some everybody is like through all outlets to make sure you allow for all outlets like
All right, my friends. We'll move on.
There's like five things you have to meet, right? 5 categories.
One ready? 1 ready? 2 are ready?
Town hall.
2 ready? We got 3. 3 ready, waiting on 2. 4 ready, waiting on 1.
We're ready.
All right. We're going to go back, and you can have a seat unless you want to take a peek at where you started, and we're ready to move on. go through our draft of the district vision, mission, and belief.
So you can explain exactly what it is. Family members, new family members, new family to counseling.
All right, let's sit down and we'll get started. The last little bit of things we need to do tonight and get y'all home to your families. All right. Last week, your community worked on a draft of the district beliefs, a vision statement, and a mission statement we want to share with you tonight. The beliefs are very, very important. It's why we do the work we do, why we're here tonight, not home with our families, right? What's our purpose? And there's a little Simon Sinek video I'm going to show you. It's 2 minutes. Talks about why. When you're going out for your bond, remember Simon Sinek.
Ago, I made a discovery. And this discovery profoundly changed my view of how I felt the world worked, and even profoundly changed the way in which I operated it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it. Whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. The very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't need to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because it's easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Yeah. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate personally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior or purchase or vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. The best lawyers, the biggest clients, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It has great gas mileage, it has leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple.
So what we talked about is if there are no common values, we couldn't have a common image of the future for our kiddos. So there was there might be blood still on the carpet here. And those of you who are involved are like laughing because every word. And so our beliefs are these expressions of our values and our character and our convictions. What do we believe in as a community of KUTO? And that is going to be the foundation of our strategic plan. If that's what we truly believe in our hearts as a community, then everything we do has to be aligned to that. We say equity, we can't be treating kids without that. If we believe all kids, then it's all kids. So we spent a lot of time, and I'm going to have some of the people that were present share the values, the beliefs that we came up with. Somebody's cue. First one.
Cantillo ISD, we believe in providing a safe learning environment.
Number 2.
Cantillo ISD, we believe in providing equitable educational opportunities based upon the individual needs of each student.
We believe in celebrating the individual diversity of our students, staff, and families.
We believe in providing guidance and support to each student during their educational journey to optimize their continued success.
Cantillo ISD, we believe in providing support for the development of the whole person, including a broad skill set of academics, behavioral health, leadership, critical thinking, and soft skills.
Woo, thanks.
Lots and lots of thinking went into this. And so, sorry, my husband's calling me. He's going to have to wait. You have a copy of those on your table. Everyone should have a copy. Does anyone need a copy? Or not? Sorry. The gals have them. Anybody else need one? No? You're a good man. You're a good man. I don't have any more that needed. Yeah. Sure.
I think it's in your package.
No. I thought I said it here, but we'll
Here,
get
you
you
know what? I have
another.
this one. And what about you?
Here,
I have mine.
put them on over here.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wrote on the top.
No, honey, we got one for you.
Question.
Thank you. You have one, Patsy?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Everybody has them? Great.
Appreciate it.
Yes. All right. So after we did this work, the next thing we did was to take some of the key words out of our beliefs and to craft a new draft vision statement for your consideration. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
what you all believe, but you haven't asked us what we as a board, we haven't been a part of this belief.
No, you have not.
So will that be asked?
That's what we're doing now.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I'd like to add something to it. Thank you.
All right. Do you want to add right now, Dr. P? Yes. All right.
I think there's something critically missing here.
Yes,
that
ma'am.
we believe in teaching children to read, write, do math, and appreciate art and music. That's what that's what we're here for. The why is to teach children to read, write, and do math.
We can certainly add
and
that.
to appreciate their music and the fine arts.
So
that's
I think that's the how.
But that's what we believe in, right? That we believe
It's one drop. You have 7 drops.
let me explain a little bit how this works. Yeah. Each individual wrote their beliefs They combined them into posters. We took, 35 people and boiled it down to where they overlap. And one of the things we said was, when you go back here, what we're looking at is where they overlap. That doesn't mean you give up your individual beliefs. And so we had to have a lot of flexibility in, it's okay to, whatever you believe in, and it's sacred. But where do we overlap as a group, as a community? Miss Julie?
Lori, that was brought up. That almost, not verbatim, but very close. And I think that kind of goes with maybe like number 4-ish, is where we kind of melded that one into, to be honest, from what I remember.
And number 2.
That's what I was gonna say, number 2, that's the one I was looking at.
I could see the number 2 in it, the number 4, somewhat, but I think it is so, it's not made evident and obvious that that's what we're here for. It's written in real pretty language, and it's the icing on the cake, but we still need cake.
Right.
And that's what I'm not seeing, or we got ketchup for the meat, but there's not a piece of meat.
It was intense, Ms. Searles. We debated over if we should add or take away an exclamation point. So, yes, we all know that's true. But no, I'm glad you're bringing up those good points on.
That's why I sat on this board for 20 plus years, and why I sat in the PTO for the 10 before that, and gave my kids to school here so they could learn to read, write, appreciate. They all play instruments. They do all these things that we're all talking about, but we don't have it written here. And somehow, like we were talking during these billboards that we put up, the language school down at the end of Upper Valley Road. What do they write specifically? Teach your kid to learn a new language, multiple languages. They tell you exactly what they're going to do. We've done all this real nice stuff, but we haven't told anybody in marketing ourselves exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have them excel in algebra better than anybody in the whole entire county. And I don't think that we've done that in a direct format.
So there's a proposal to add, and how we did this is we got a thumbs up. And let me start with the ones that are written. Not adding yet, but the ones that are written. Can you support the ones that are written? The ones that are already on the paper?
Okay.
If you can support those, that's a thumbs up. If we need to talk about them, it's a sideways. And if you cannot support them, they don't align with your beliefs, we need a thumbs down and we need to go back to the drawing board. So it's can you support what's written right now? That's where we are. We're not talking about adding yet.
Okay.
Okay. So with what we have, how do you feel about those? Are you all right? Where are your thoughts, sir? Down. Okay. Do we need to talk about that? What is it that you?
I agree with her. The basic tenet that we're here for, and is to teach the kids to read, write, do math.
Right.
Bottom line.
Yeah. And we're gonna add that in a moment.
Okay.
I'm just asking about the ones that are written at this point. If there's anything in there
I think the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The number 5, providing support for the development of the whole person. I would say for the well-rounded person.
Mm-hmm.
A well-rounded person, math, reading, writing, intellectual, critical thinking, and the fine arts, and exposure to the real world as it is, as a well-rounded person.
So you want to add well-rounded
instead of whole person.
Okay, I think where the whole person was coming in was down here We didn't want to say whole child because the students felt very strongly about not having the word whole child in there. They said that's offensive to a high school student. And so they wanted person, but the idea was, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that on purpose. The idea was talking about the multiple dimensions. We wanted to do academics, that's why it's first, but we wanted to bring in all these other aspects of developing a child, a student, young person. Is that we wanted to make sure their behavior health was there, but we wanted to develop their leadership, their critical thinking, and those soft skills which are, be able to discuss and interview and things. Yes, Julie?
But Deb, the other reason we put whole person was because it wasn't just the students. It was also the teachers and staff to support them in the soft skills of talking to the parents and relating to the children, to helping them supporting with the behavioral health and all the turmoil they have. So when we selected whole person, it was the well-rounded idea, but not just of the child, but of everybody involved.
So building the capacity across the board.
We're talking about our mission.
No, we're talking about our beliefs
we believe
of what Conateo ISD believes is what is it at right now.
I think what Mr. Payon's just saying is that well-rounded has a bigger impact than whole, possibly. Just not make it child, am I correct? Not make it child, complete person, but change whole to well-rounded.
If I could just for a minute, another thing we talked about, and it's important, is that we have to translate this into a language everyone will understand. And well-rounded, I'm not sure it's going to translate the way we want it to in Spanish. No. I think whole person will translate better. What do you think?
Que luce bien redondo.
There was a lot of awareness of how things would translate. Some words were actually, that we liked, we threw out because they would translate with the spirit of what we wanted served.
So I guess, Ms. Trout.
Yes.
Could you translate that, read that in Spanish? How would you translate that in Spanish?
Proveyendo soporte para el desarrollo de toda la persona, incluyendo, thank you so much. Destrezas que se han dictado en académicos. Salud de behavioral,
salud
mental. No es mental, de personalidad. De conducta. Conducta y salud conductual podría ser, de liderazgo, manera crítica de pensar y fine skills, son finos.
What do you mean by soft skills?
Skills. Son, let me see.
No, I'm asking the ones that put it up there.
We're talking about how people interact with each other, teaching basic communication, respective,
habilidades finas. Soft skills son habilidades finas, no blandas, finas.
Yeah, it's how do you have a friendly discourse in a classroom?
I think you need to define it. You need to put it out there so people understand. Soft skills could mean a whole variety of things. I think you need to narrow it down and say a soft skill is ability to communicate in a manner that you can avoid an argument or something like that. I don't know. But what did you mean by soft skills?
One of your educators came up with it.
I'm sorry?
One of your educators, I think it was one of the teachers, is what brought it to our attention, taught us something new. Because the thing with these beliefs also was being able to go, and with our vision and our mission, to go and expand. You have your community involved. You guys are being so transparent, involving us, giving us this blessing and opportunity to be at the same level with you, which is so respected and appreciated, to where we can take it to our schools into our children to pass on and going, and teaching new skills of, what is that? Well, let me tell you. It's opening communication and opportunities for new bonds and new friendships.
That would be better said.
I don't know what I just said.
Can you repeat that?
There you go.
To answer your question, Sal, there's two different sets of, I looked it up right now, skills, soft skills and hard skills. Hard skills are more for individual jobs, very job specific. And I think what we're trying to reach here, soft skills, interpersonal skills, how they communicate, how they talk to different people. And I think that's going to cover the wider range of all the students we have.
Interpersonal.
Yeah.
Interpersonal?
But also, I have a question.
Yeah.
Just on here, right, the fifth point, when we're talking about, we chose the word whole person. So then how come on the fourth point, if you go one back, that one's just specific to students.
Yeah,
It can just pertain to staff and teachers as well, in their educational journeys. Doesn't that kind of include in the fifth, isn't it included in the fifth point?
Probably.
That's a good point too.
Some of them are a little redundant, but this one was really, and Jessica, yeah, go ahead, hon.
I'll be happy to answer that one. Because the student that was in our group was very passionate about it. And what she was specifically referring to was that students are given that guidance and support in their educational journey as they go find their career, as they decide what their next step is. And I think the reason why that one's specific to students is because, maybe not everyone, but a lot of us who are in education and we're teachers or administrators or instructional coaches, we found where we want to be. Like, we're already there. And that one of our main goals should be that every student walks out of our doors knowing their next step. Maybe they have that plan A, plan B, you know, I'm gonna go study this, I wanna do this. The young lady that was with us was very excited about her cow that she's showing at the fair, you know, and she's even said, I wish I had had more guidance on how to get to that school, how to make myself most, you know, favorable candidate, you know, things like that. So that's what that one was specifically related to, was kind of, you know, helping all the young people that are moving through our district find purpose.
Yeah, she wanted help sooner. She didn't want to wait till senior year to be asked what she wanted to do. And so she was very passionate about this idea about during their journey, not just at the end saying, now what do you want to do? She wanted it from, you know, all the way up. People talking about career choices, talking about education, talking about post-secondary, etc., so that she knew, and not just her, she named other students. She wanted them to have that opportunity of knowing what choices were out there for them at an early age.
So the way I saw it, especially a lot of the work that had been given, if I might, is just a lot of it dealt with diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? And being more inclusive in regards to the language that was provided to allow. I mean, yeah, we could be, you know, talk about every academia that is being taught, or every type of student that is in our community, but it was very inclusive in regards to the language that was used to allow for that individual student to succeed, or individual teacher to build that capacity across the board at all levels. So that's why I give my thumbs up in regards to it. That's just my thoughts.
And I think when we were talking about the development of the whole person, it was going beyond just reading, writing, and math. It was really knowing the student, knowing the faculty, knowing the staff, and knowing that they are supported. We felt that here in Garofio ISD, it was how are we building our community? How are we building our future? And looking at all those different aspects. And when we talked about soft skills, it involves the time management. It involves the networking, the conflict building. And so that's why, again, like Armando pointed out, it was just using the wording, because again, we couldn't make it lengthy. We couldn't add every little thing. But we are still talking about it. We did really dig into and look at academics. And we understood that ultimately as a school, that is, I guess, your number one goal, but in order to meet that goal, there's so much more under it. And that whole person is what you need to understand and develop in order to get there. And there was a lot of back and forth with just simple wording, and it was very nice to be a part of, because there was so much passion. You could tell how passionate everyone was in the room in regards to what we see the future of Canopio, because again, this is seeing Canopio 5 years from now.
It's kind of standing back from the whole thing of what we believe in. It was really, because we even talked about it with the soft skills, like guys, we're really gonna have to talk about it to have that same common language of what we mean by soft skills. Because we could have added communicate, navigate, all these words. However, it's about selling it and going out there to our campuses and having this message out there and going through each one and our principals being trained on how to share this common belief that we have for Canopio. Because it can't just stop on the writing. And we gotta live it, we gotta do it. So we've gotta share this message out there at the campus. So that's what we were thinking of, like we need to get it out there as a district. We need to be at those campuses and have this conversation with them.
And plus the students understood this. They're a big part of writing this.
They understood soft skills.
And they're the ones that understood, they understand this. Mr. Hernandez, Tristan, do you understand this? Does it make sense? Because the students were the ones that
They got it.
yeah, because we were looking up other words to figure out what else we could.
Yeah, you had the thesaurus out.
You, Ms. Sills, and I'm sorry, Mr. Payan, you know, we were concerned about those words, but to make it long and winded, it was just not going to work. But the thing, the most important part, like I was saying, the students understood.
I remember our group talking a whole lot about including every single person in the district, from cafeteria people, transportation, how do we talk to our kids, how do we talk to our parents, teachers holding everybody accountable for treating each other with respect. And that's how we came up with soft skills.
I would do that. And a lot of training that I have is, especially like dual language or other stuff, right? Like, how do we grow the capacity of all kids? How do we grow the capacity of all teachers? How do we grow the capacity within our community? Whether it's language barriers, and you're not supposed to use them as a negative deficit, right? Like English language learners. How do you, I want all kids to succeed. I want all kids to succeed within each individual program, whatever that program may be. So I think that's where, for me, I was just comfortable, because my biggest saying is like, don't judge until you understand, and once you understand, you probably won't judge, right? And so that brings it in within, you know, the student trying to grow their capacity and being able to understand other cultures, other people, and trying to grow, as well as teachers trying to understand their kids. Once they understand that, they probably won't judge, and they'll try to address some of the inequities or some of the issues that are happening at home, some of the, you know, so there was, I mean, I could go and get nitpicky on some of the details, but I think it sort of was inclusive of the involvement of the community itself, so.
The beliefs won't have they can't have everything that everybody wants. They have to be an umbrella that embraces all of us here. So if we need to add something, then we need to go through a process of making sure that everybody wants to add it, that you all can get behind it. Yes, ma'am.
The board has had a problem, though, that we haven't been included in anything but tonight. And so everybody else understands this passionate dynamic and what's going on.
Yes, ma'am.
But we haven't had our 10 cents worth of input. We're just being handed a plate of food. We need to be able to, you know, pick not just the entree, but maybe put a side dish on.
All right.
That's why I'm asking for board input, and I think that we've got to put the basic that every parent,
I'm happy to add
every
that,
parent understands. My kid's going to learn to read, write, do math, and I'd like to reach for the sky and say we're going to, like Mr. Joyner comes in here on a regular basis, teach them all a second language too. I don't know if that's pushing it too far, but we've been saying that for 15 years and we haven't accomplished it. Our art and music is critical. It's not mentioned.
I've always been trying to get an art teacher at my elementary school.
Yes.
And it's like me bugging my principal, constantly saying, when we need to get art teacher.
Yes. Even if it's a traveling art teacher for once a week, but from pre-K.
I suggested 3 traveling art teachers.
Yes.
Might be able to help.
You, me, and Mr. Payano.
Part of this process is going forward. So I can't go back to 1984 to 80s and 70s when I was raised and say it's still relevant today.
Well, of course it is. How'd you learn to be a doctor? You had to read, write, and do math. That it didn't.
But that was a given.
Yeah, but it's still. It's the basics.
I don't know. I think
you can't use your computer unless
because you can't do everything. You can't afford everything. So if you want to put an art teacher in every elementary, what are you going to take away? And if you want fine arts, are you going to impose that every child from pre-K kinder has to play an instrument?
No, but has the opportunity if
But it doesn't mean, I mean, if you're saying that when we believe that.
No, that we believe that they.
Believe in fine arts.
Teaching them.
If you believe in dual language, everything has a price. I'm just saying, you just, I don't know.
Unless we reach for the stars, we won't get there, Dr. Galavis.
Dr. Galavis,
Why don't we put our cultural instead, Dr. Galavis? Why don't we put just cultural? It says the support of the cultural. I mean.
No, I'm just saying, because I hear the 3 R's, and going back to the.
There's more than 3 R's now.
I truly believe it.
There's science, technology.
But I just think it should be a given unless, and again, it's just one voice,
Well, I mean, I think there's more than 3 R's now, right? Don't we have science, technology? I mean, I think we could add more.
Where's science?
I was drafting that for you.
Oh, that's excellent.
But there's other, you know, there's
I'm
other.
listening,
You got well-rounded.
I'm listening to you, sweetie, I'm
Got it.
I like that.
Okay,
Like it was at the beginning, it was good.
Yeah, you good? Okay, I'm good. So?
all right.
Yeah.
So we have proposed adding another bullet.
That's what we're trying to get some of this.
That science isn't there, there's other extracurricular, like, let's go down the list. And what's gonna be the future?
It's only 5 years long.
A lot has changed in 5 years.
So there'll be a 6th, Dr. Brennan?
Well, it's either a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Yeah,
There
but
you
there'll
go.
be 6 deletes, right?
Yes, ma'am. What we're doing is proposing a new one, and I'd like to get a show of thumbs on this new bullet, please.
So would that be added, or
Added.
would we take one away?
No, we have one more, but I don't know, una más. So how do you feel about this one? You don't like it?
I mean, we're not including everything, and that's not being inclusive of what the district in the future holds.
We're
We
adding
need to put everything.
the bottom line of what we're here for. Reading, writing, math, science, humanities, you can't even eliminate in a lot of the stuff that we study nowadays. Language, that's what the whole world is about now.
Technology, it is.
Where's history, sports?
Sports.
Oh, sports.
I mean,
Green Bay Packers.
But that's not being inclusive of the whole student.
Yeah.
We covered that in number 5.
It says fine arts, why not sports? No? Extracurricular activities? Technology, science, humanities.
And all the training we've had to is.
I've got to tell you, this is what you do. It's not why you do it. And I'm okay with that, but what you're doing is defining what you do. We're talking about why you're sitting here tonight.
That's why we're here.
Okay, that's good, all right. Where are we, guys? I've got one person. Anybody else want to talk about this some more? Yes, sir.
I think we look from the standpoint of what are we required to do? The state requires us to do this. But is that why we're here? I mean, the state requires us to do a lot of things. And, you know, no disrespect, but TEA in the past has not really, you know, been a stellar guidance for any of that, including reading, math, and writing. Period. You know, we started with the cost, and then scores start going up, and then all of a sudden you change to another one, and you start doing well, and then you start to another set of, you know, the tax, and all of a sudden everybody's not doing so well. And then we go to, you know, we start doing well on the tax, and then all of a sudden, now we have to start, nobody is ever doing well. You know, it's, frankly, this is focusing, yeah, we need to focus on reading, writing, and math, but I don't think that's why we should exist. Period for that. Frankly, you know, I was asking Marnie, Doctor, when's the last time that the TEKS were reviewed? You know?
Do I know? I know English was, I think, 3 years ago, science maybe 4 or 5.
Okay, and when was the last revamp of the TEKS?
Oh, geez, they're continually.
It goes by subject, like the pre-K
Yeah.
was just done
So-
last year.
So do you really think we're up to date with what our students need to have? Is it? And the way you're assessing those?
No, well,
No.
that's a whole different ballgame.
That's a whole different ballgame. So do we exist just to do that? You know, and I apologize to my community and to this district because of the only thing of goals that we've had so far is focused on that. Excuse me, for lack of a better deal, for that crap. Okay? And I apologize to everybody because we shouldn't have been focusing only on that. I think our goal should be higher than that. The why is what makes us. That's the why. What makes us? What do we believe in? I want our kids to make a lot of money. And how do we do that? Degrees, certifications, give them credentials, a skill set.
How do they get there? Reading, writing, and math.
Yeah, well, we have to do that anyways.
But isn't part of it?
May I interject?
Sure.
Yes.
And I appreciate that. But also, Ms. Sorrells, you're absolutely right. This is the first time you got to see it. You weren't in the nitty gritty of it, and that's okay, because I think they wanted to be the community focused, and you guys are very community. Please don't say me wrong. But this is almost what our mission is, which is in 2 more things. Down at the bottom, that is our inclusive learning environment. We provide the equitable, forgive me for going ahead, opportunities to ensure our future-ready students inspire to explore, learn, grow, and excel. And maybe somewhere in our mission, we still, and it's good that you guys are so passionate, you know, that we can include this into it. But this is our how. This is how we do it in our everyday, day-to-day life. Our vision is our reaching for the stars, like you said, right? That's our goal and our dream. And that's going to change because as we go on our upward trajectory. But what we do to get there is every day. And that's our mission. That's our stomping ground. Like, how do we do it? That's how we do it. We do it through our student ready, future ready, inspired, exploring, learning, growing, and excelling.
In one go. Reading, writing, arithmetic, math, science, languages, art, technology, yes.
Whatever their individual passion is.
This has got to be, you can't build a home without a foundation. It's very simple, it doesn't work. It'll wash away with the first rain. You must have a foundation. Everyone in this room is an educator. We all know this. Not one of us got here without knowing how to read, write, do math, at least a little bit of it.
And you know what, this is okay. You guys are so passionate, and that's a great thing for our district. That's why when I was born and raised here. When my husband retired from the Navy after 20 years, we came home here. I grew up in the Northeast.
Miss Rocha was my English teacher. I could have gone anywhere. We came to Conatillo because of who you are and what you represent, okay? And if this is a belief, it's words and it goes along with everything else we've said. So it's just schematics of if we need to put it in there, it's a belief, we'll put it in there. But we keep moving forward to our vision and our mission of how to get there, our why. It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you, because we are passionate about it.
Ms. Seals, is the person in this room who can invite you and invite the board, we can do mob justice.
Mob justice. I don't,
Thank you for speaking up, Ms. Seals, because like Just for Kids, the parents wanted the board's input so we could come to a happy medium, so we can work out a deal, so the board can pass.
Just for Kids was brought to this district by myself personally. I have supported it, and every year make sure that there's enough money in our budget that every campus shouldn't have to ask or beg for that, that it should be there. So please know, I got your back on that one. I believe in that with all my heart, because you got your reading there, you've got your dancing, you've got your music, you've got your history. It's the most amazing program I've ever seen, and I have to tell you, I'm a pretty fit person. I don't think I could do what those kids do.
And I want to apologize that you were invited, because we really could have used your input there.
Yeah.
So you could enjoy the community's
I would have
input
loved it.
on this, because it was sort of a bonding moment.
I hear it.
And and opinions were exchanged without no
Animosity.
hatred,
Yeah.
animosity. So
Well, but not only that, there's a problem when you have the board, because when they're all there, it's a quorum. It has to be a called meeting, it has to be, there's legal things with having the board involved. Now, dropping in and coming and visiting, but when you get all of them involved, we have to do what we're doing tonight to be legal. But there's also the thing, you have to trust in the power of community. You have to trust in the power of community, that there were enough voices in the room that represented the people in the community. Now we've added a belief. How do you feel now about the beliefs with one addition? We all right? Do you believe it?
Yes.
If you don't believe it, then it's not all right. But if you get behind, if any of you, I don't like this word or that word, we can't wordsmith.
What are we missing?
What are you missing?
We added to it.
We just added this additional one.
I know, but what are we missing that we actually do? There's other stuff. Dr.
Lavis, what else is
History.
missing there? Let's go
History.
one by one.
Humanities.
History,
And humanities.
What else is missing,
History,
Dr.
sports. Where's Maureen?
Where's what?
What's in the curriculum? I mean,
What else is missing,
what
Miss
are we
Marnie?
leaving out?
The four core?
Well, of
No,
course,
everything. I mean,
You're gonna mention everything.
no, I'm being serious. Like, I don't want to leave something out that we're not doing.
Well, we also don't want it to be a whole page.
Well, that's
No, the four core principles of an education: reading, writing, math.
it doesn't mean you can't do more than this. It's not something that's limiting you. These aren't, what it's saying is, if we believe these things, when we build the plan, our actions have to align with them. That's all.
Well, for me, what I believe in a well-rounded education is to be inclusive. And if we're trying to add another belief,
But it's on the other principle.
then I want to include it. Well, all this is in the other principles as well.
Not reading, writing, math.
Yes, Jessica.
The first day that we were here, many of us pointed out, like, oh, we want the reading scores to be mastered, and we want, all the ELL students to meet, and we want all the SPED students to approach. And we got very caught up in our own content and the subject areas, right? And I remember, Dr. Brennan, you said specifically to us, you said, yes, those are all things that we do, and they will come into the plan and the action steps and the components that are going to support the beliefs. And so I believe that all of those things that help make our children wonderful are going to be there, but they're in that they're in that other supporting area.
They're in the work.
They're in the work that we do day to day, and that's where they're mentioned specifically. Because this is not the only part of the plan. The plan's going to be much bigger. And that gave me a lot of clarity when Dr. Brennan put it in those terms. That's the day-to-day work. These are our aspirations, these are our beliefs, these are the things that when we envision our kids 5 years from now, this is what they're doing. They have problem solving, they have all the academic skills, they have the ability to just go and do wonderful things in the world. That just helped me understand it. I don't know.
So I understand all of that, and we could talk this into the ground, but the basics
That's
is,
why the academics.
Mr. Payan and I each have a very definite desire to have this included, and it's not like we said, we sure hope all kids smoke, drink, and, involve themselves in crime before they finish high school. Nobody said that. These are good things. These are quality things to put in, and I think to not at least say, okay, we got two leaders of our community that feel very passionate, and we each have people, obviously, who believe in us, or we wouldn't be sitting here. They must think the same way we do, so I don't see what's wrong in including it.
But I think when we put in, teach children how to read, write, and do math, I think it's evident that that is what a school is. And by us putting it there, we're going back to thinking of just numbers, thinking about our students are more than that, our community.
Sure they are, and all that's in these.
Well,
You got
isn't
every bit of that.
it included when it says skill set of academics? For me, all of that's included in that.
What if we just do providing a well-rounded, student, providing an excellent, well-rounded education? Period.
Yep.
Would that be satisfactory? So one of the things doesn't get left off or something, or,
Doctor, would we be able to take a vote again before we continue discussion on the addition of this item, on whether or not we should add this or not? Yeah. Two opposing viewpoints, yeah. But if the majority of us don't want to include it, and we're still discussing it. Yeah.
Well,
I would say if it's language, it's multi-language. I want our kids to be,
So let's say the school district's a living, breathing thing. Us breathing, we don't think about that day to day. That's what this is, reading, writing, math. That's everyday things that's gonna happen regardless. I don't think you have to include it. It's a day-to-day function that is gonna happen regardless if we put it in or not. The community and the students are gonna expect that as a baseline, bottom level for us. It's expected that when you send your kids to school, they're gonna learn how to read, write, and do math. I don't think we have to include it in what we believe because it's already so ingrained in the culture of school that it's already there. It's an expectation. I don't think it has to be a belief personally.
So,
is there any way, Dr. Brand, that we continue going on to the next?
Yeah, let's go ahead
And go on, and then
and think about it.
bigger picture
Or
where we're
maybe
at. And then
this
we can
doesn't
get
have
to
to be the end all this evening.
Exactly, so that way we can kind of go to the next part and maybe you'll see it, and if you don't, we can definitely come back and.
We do have, Ms. Deb, we do have one more meeting. I don't know exactly what's that gonna detail of.
Yeah, you're getting ahead of me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's all right, it's not.
I can see where it's included down here.
So, what we're doing right now is what we did for an hour or more the last time. We talked about words, we talked about what was in, what was not in, what was out, what was not out. What could we all support? And if we can't all support it, it can't be a belief. Because we don't, it's where we overlap. That doesn't mean, remember, there's those outlier things. I believe, I believe some things about education. But I can get behind the things that you put there. That doesn't mean that I don't believe some other things as well. But when you get, if you read something and you're going, that's not what I want in there, then we have problems we have to discuss. So let's go on to the vision. And here's a good quote for this, guys.
Yes.
People of goodwill, and we all are, good-hearted, working for the common good, which is our kids. Who's going to make good choices? We really are. And let me just tell you guys, I don't have a dog in this hunt. I really don't. You can believe what you want to believe. I'm going back to Austin and leaving. It's your community. It's your district. I'm just here trying to get everybody's voice in the room and make you feel valued. So please don't think, oh, that lady, she did. Please, I don't own this. This came out of the hearts of your kids, your families, and some of your staff that were here. So here is where we came for our vision. Canutillo ISD is the premier district. Not a, the. We lead today to positively impact tomorrow. It is what we aspire to do. This is our aspiration. We talked a lot about the tomorrow are our students and what they become. We have taken something very, very complex and made it very, very simple. We lead today in academics, in reading, in math, in writing. We do that today to positively impact tomorrow. So you can interpret that a lot of ways. We lead in our classrooms, we lead in our clubs, we lead in what we offer our kids, we lead in our curriculum, we lead in our family engagement, we lead in our district operations. Everything we do, we lead. Because we're the premier.
We lead in our boardroom.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. In your Lone Star governance. In the way you manage this district. Yes. We lead to positively impact tomorrow. How do we feel about the vision? God bless America. I was expecting more of a battle. Just because the vision started like 3 cents, I mean, it was big. It was rough. It was rough.
I didn't turn into a paragraph.
I'm really only 22 years old. But I aged that day. All right, so vision is what we aspire. It's our future. It is supposed to inspire hope. It is supposed to have people look at that and say, ooh! It gets you excited. So our mission is, what do our staff do every day when they walk into the building to support and achieve that vision? So can we read this? Are the people still here? Jessica?
I only have the first sentence.
Okay, we'll figure out who's second.
Canutillo ISD supports and embraces diversity in a multicultural society.
Our school community thrives in a safe, engaging, inclusive learning environment.
We provide equitable opportunities to ensure our future-ready students are inspired to explore, learn, grow, and excel.
That is what our staff, that's the guidelines for our staff. What do they do future ready students are inspired to explore, learn, grow themselves. I like it. It's wordier, but you don't have to memorize that one. The vision, our students had it memorized in one day. They did a chorus recitation to Dr. Galaviz. Because you should know what your vision is. Your mission, you could study that and unpack that a little bit. How do you feel about that? Is that what you want your staff doing? All right. So, these beliefs, this part up here drives everything else that's done. When we say we embrace a multicultural community, then everything that we build in this strategic plan must support that. You don't say this is what we believe in and then do yuck. If we're going to lead in these strands that you see today, these things that you wrote on the wall, we're going to lead in those to positively impact tomorrow. So, a vision without a task is a dream. A task without a vision is drudgery. But when you have a vision to be the premier district, to lead today, to positively impact tomorrow, and we put the actions underneath it, that's how we'll change the world. We are building a plan right here to take us from where we are to our new vision and mission. We will have these meetings before we come back. We're building a plan for every semester of every year. I do have a video. Do we have a minute more for a video, Doctor? It's 8:30. I don't want to keep people. 8:39. Stay point. Sir?
A fish in a boat making its way through the water, moving further and further from sight, just a tiny object amidst an enormous ocean. Its journey comprises endless possibilities, unlimited potential. Its destination could be anywhere in the world. And while observing this boat as it glides over the water, nothing is more apparent than the freedom it contains. The beauty in knowing that it can follow its soul into the sunset if it so desires. And as you look on to this phenomenon, you'll notice that it sheds no light on where the boat has been, nor on what has brought it to this point. You won't see the wrong turns taken, the mistakes made, nor the obstacles that will overcome to get you. What you will see is a seemingly fresh start, where every second of every minute is a new opportunity for the boat to go where it wants to go, to be what it wants to be. Its weight has no impact on its course. This is one of the most beautiful things about being alive. Every single day provides a blank page in your story for you to fill out as you see fit. Old habits, friends, mistakes, expectations, they exist in whatever capacity you allow them to. But they are not you. They are not indicative of your potential. You are the captain of your ship.
For these are all our children, and we will profit by or pay for whatever they become. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Dr. Gelavese is going to bring the beliefs back to the board for discussion, but we're adjourned. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful citizens can change the world. So do it. Dr. Gelavese?
Yeah, by unanimous consent of the board, we're adjourned. Thank you.